This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is
the one that everybody wants, me.
It's going to WrestleMania. Claymore!
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. This is my iron. You're going to acknowledge me.
What's going on, everybody? Guys and girls, welcome back to another edition, a WWE Draft edition of the SmackDown review right here on the WWE Podcast. As always, I'm one of the hosts of the show, Michael Ritter. You can find me on Twitter, Michael5Ritter, and also one of the hosts of the Football Function podcast, available on all of your podcasting platforms, including whatever one you're listening to the show on right now. Joining me on today's episode to help me cover this draft and SmackDown in general, as usual, my humble co-host, John Carrasco, a.k.a. Juicy Jonathan. You can find him on Twitter at BIGG_speaker. John, how the hell are you?
I'm doing pretty good, not going to lie. I'm kind of in the drowsy mode, I guess you could say, considering the day that we had at the beginning, you know, the rain and everything. But other than that, kind of glad that the week kind of went by pretty quick. You know, there's some exciting stuff with, of course, the football NFL draft, you know, shout out Football Function and everything. But other than that, today too, man, I mean, of course, we got this draft going on. I was looking forward to it. So, yeah, ready to break this down.
It's crazy. I mean, you just mentioned it. Not going to mention anything more about it, but just really quickly, it's 7 p.m. The day's not even over yet, and we had our most successful day by far at the Football Function podcast.
There you go.
So that was, big day. Just found that out, too, not that long ago. So pretty freaking awesome. But this episode of SmackDown that we're covering, obviously airing on April 28th, 2023 from Corpus Christi, Texas, down the, I don't really know. I would say down the road, but in reality, Corpus Christi is probably as far from where we are as, like, Detroit. I don't know about that. I don't know about that far.
There's a trip down there, yeah.
It's pretty freaking far if you go all the way to Corpus. That's no joke. But either way, they are here in Texas. And it's a pretty big night, the WWE Draft. Triple H comes out, he opens the show and just fills us in a little bit. I was curious how they were going to do this. I mentioned it to you. I wasn't sure if they were going to do the draft lottery style where it's pretty much random. You don't decide who you're drafting, quote unquote. You don't decide who you're drafting, but there's also other ways to do it like this where they just get to pick them. And that's, I feel like, a more realistic way, because obviously if you're going random, you could get Chad Gable with the first overall pick, if we're being honest. And then
that's a little spice right there.
Yeah, so you wanna make it more fun. And I feel like back in the day, whenever it was Raw versus SmackDown and it was Ric Flair versus Vince McMahon, this was like 2002, whenever the brand split was actually becoming a real thing. Maybe even the first draft, if I'm being honest, the actual very first draft that they did, where Undertaker got drafted. They show him getting all pissed off in the locker room and all that stuff. It's just a nostalgic episode of Raw, I think, is what it was on. But nonetheless, this one starts off with Triple H pretty much just saying that only 50% of the roster is going to be eligible tonight, and 50% is going to be eligible Monday Night Raw. Smart move. They got to keep some guys over there. But this one started off a little bit weird. I'm going to be honest. I thought that only one person was going, unless you're a legitimate tag team or like a faction, like such as Imperium. That would have made sense being drafted as a group. But SmackDown gets the first pick, and they draft Roman Reigns with Solo Sikoa and Paul Heyman. Obviously, Paul Heyman, nobody was thinking he was going to get drafted by himself. Nobody's going to draft Paul Heyman. So he going with Roman Reigns made all the sense in the world. But Solo Sikoa, I thought that was a little bit of like a buy one, get one free. Because that's a contender. That's a high mid-card wrestler right there that we just got just because he's attached to Roman Reigns. So I do feel like, obviously, we're SmackDown guys over here, but I just thought that was kind of strange that we started off the draft with, 2 for 1. I feel like Roman Reigns by himself would have been more of a stamp of I'm the top guy alone as the first overall pick. Having Solo kind of get a little bit of that shine too did feel a little bit weird, but nonetheless, Roman Reigns and the rest of the bloodline are, or I guess what's left of the bloodline, I should say. We'll kind of get into that a little bit later as well, but Raw gets their first pick. It ended up being Cody Rhodes, the American Nightmare. Yeah. SmackDown gets their second first-round pick because I think that's each brand gets 2 picks per round is what is the impression that I got. And Raw gets Becky Lynch as their first woman. So we get Bianca Belair, Becky Lynch off the board, Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes off the board. Pretty chalky for the most part, although I will say a little bit strange that we picked the Raw Women's Champion, Bianca Belair. But Michael Cole did just fill us in that Rhea Ripley wasn't in the pool tonight. She's available Monday night. But still, you figured that would have maybe been a little bit of a strategy to draft your own champion. But either way, Rhea was on Raw up until she won the Royal Rumble and then challenged Charlotte, took it from her. So, hey, are we getting Rhea Ripley now? So that was kind of strange. But nonetheless, we did get a little vignette from Bianca Belair in her hotel room where she said she's excited. The SmackDown Women's Championship was the first one that she won on the main roster, so she's looking forward to coming back into SmackDown as the SmackDown Women's Champion. So that just tells you right there, like, they're inevitably going to switch, but I just feel like it just makes so much sense to drop the brand exclusive names on the titles because they put themselves in a predicament like this every single year. Every time they do a draft anyways, where one of the champions, well, it's kind of weird. It's like the elephant in the room. Like, are they eligible to get drafted because they have a specific championship? Whereas if it's like the U.S. and the Intercontinental, it doesn't matter where they go, They don't, it makes sense on both shows. So I thought that was a little bit weird, but either way, what are your thoughts on the first round? Just, Roman and Bianca coming to SmackDown and then Cody and Becky remaining on Raw.
Well, the only thing that kind of stood out to me is that why didn't they even get somebody that was holding a belt? That was kind of...
Who, Raw?
Yeah.
A little suspect.
Yeah, just a little weird to me, I guess you could say, because, they got some good people, can't say that or take anything from them, but you would expect to bring at least some type of attraction with your first and second round picks, I guess you could say, or second pick. But other than that, Cody Rhodes, we kind of talked about it off air. We kind of expect what's going to happen from there in a way. Still kind of riding with the Gunther thing, but I don't know, going to kind of push that off to the side now. But yeah, man.
I'm excited to have Bianca back. I can tell you that. But I guess I'll just ask you really quickly. It was the topic of the week. What do you think about the World Heavyweight Championship, the new one being debuted on Monday Night Raw?
Well, that's going to be kind of crazy because it does bring excitement back to, I guess it's going to be Raw that's going to be having it now. But other than that, I can't really say, or I guess we can say, Cody Rhodes is going to be the one that's going to be holding that belt. So I think it's deserving there because he does have that little story that he wants to finish. And, of course, that belt is the one that he's been referring to.
The World Heavyweight?
Yeah, right?
The WWE Championship. Whoa. The black one that Roman has specifically is the one that his dad never won back in the day. But either way, the World Heavyweight Championship is still, it's a prestigious belt. It's the same thing. It's the top world championship in the company. He's never won that. It's not like the Universal Championship would mean less. If you asked him legitimately off record, he'd probably say, yeah, I wanted to win the WWE title. Right. But the World Heavyweight, it's got some weight behind it. No pun intended. It's definitely the top belt in my personal opinion. Now, did they need to give it a facelift? No. Did they need to quote unquote upgrade it? No.
Yeah.
They didn't. Does the NFL change the Vince Lombardi trophy? Do they upgrade it every year and make it look more modern? No. Go watch Super Bowl I and look at the trophy that they hold up. It's the exact same as the trophy that they just held up in 2023 with the Kansas City Chiefs. So that's one thing I just look at is you don't have to change it. It still looks so great. And, I understand, it's a modern era where you're trying to brand. You're trying to, expose your brand. Yeah. So clearly putting the logo in the middle just makes sense. Look at the UFC championship belts they have. It has UFC literally written right in the middle of it. AEW championship, pretty big AEW logo just standing right there in the middle. So, I don't know. I understand, right? I don't agree with it, but I understand. And it's clear what the belt was based off of, the shape, the overall gold look. You knew that that's the belt that Triple H had in mind, but he was probably nudged in the right direction or in the quote-unquote right direction to give it a more modern look. I will probably get it, just being completely honest. But I will say, just the fact that it is the Raw exclusive, top belt, that does bring me back so much to my childhood because the World Heavyweight Championship was on Raw. And that's what they're going to call it. We're going to hear promos where they're talking about fighting for the World Heavyweight Championship. So that alone, I'll admit, it's going to have me a little bit more intrigued to watch Monday Night Raw, and obviously the fact that, spoiler alert, Cody Rhodes is probably going to win it.
Yeah. See, and that's where I kind of think the excitement is going to come from, at least them having the belt. So whichever direction that they're going to go with it, I mean, I'm all for it. It's definitely going to make me, pay attention to Raw a little bit more, I guess you could say, rather than just...
Man, if they would shave off that final hour, I would feel so much better about watching Raw consistently.
True.
I mean, it's a weeknight.
I mean, even
3 hours? Gosh.
If they were to do that over here on the SmackDown side, it feels like I wouldn't complain about it.
I would.
You think so?
If they gave us an extra hour, I would 100% not be a fan.
I just feel like there's so much more going on this side of it rather than the Raw side, So the stories and stuff on SmackDown side could at least fill in that 30.
I agree with you. However, I will say the reason why it might feel like that is because we have 2-hour show and we're able to focus solely and have focus on those few programs that we have, and we're able to really unwrap them and just let them develop and give them the proper time because we don't got to worry about that extra hour. And there's not a lot of quote unquote filler, which ends up being bad. 9 times out of 10, some of the stuff they use on Raw to quote unquote fill time, it's just not for me. I'm going to be honest. If we get The Miz drafted over here to SmackDown, I'm probably going to be pissed. Because that means we're going to... And that's nothing against Miz as the wrestler. But it's just because it's usually always related to him, or there's just a meaningless program where it's built 90% of it on Miz TV. So, sorry, I just dropped the football. That was on me. Didn't drop it. I want to be very clear there. My cat knocked it out of the chair. So, yeah, there's no fumble or ball security issues going on over here. Yeah. But, nonetheless, Miz just isn't high on my big board. If I could, phrase it that way, since we're in draft season. But on SmackDown right now, we're getting LA Knight versus Butch. Pretty underrated matchup, if I'm being honest, just in terms of the two wrestlers. Pretty high on Butch. Don't know if we're going to keep the Brawling Brutes here on SmackDown. I feel like in my gut that they're probably going to, get drafted over to Raw. Something tells me that. But I am excited for the second round of picks to see who ends up coming over here to SmackDown and, just continuing to let the imagination run in terms of who you want. Is there anybody on your mind right now that you want? I want Gunther to be the next pick for SmackDown.
I mean, the whole solo thing kind of throws me off because I expected, him to be the extra person. But I wouldn't even mind. Man, no, because the Usos have to go to Raw in my mind. So I'm kind of clueless on the SmackDown, but I do see Raw drafting the Usos on this next one.
Well, they're not. The Usos aren't eligible till Monday night.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Dang, didn't even know that. But
yeah, they mentioned that a little bit earlier, like Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, because that's one thing we forgot to mention is that the Usos came out during that first round or right whenever it ended, and KO and Sami Zayn came out and they were kind of going back and forth. Sami Zayn pointed out to Jay that it's pretty evident that he's not in the Bloodline's plans, given that he wasn't part of the draft or that draft package in the first round. So, yeah, a little bit of a hype up for that. So I don't think Sammy and KO are eligible either until Monday night because of their match tonight. Yeah, so
yeah, I might be a little clueless on that one then.
Yeah, just gotta look at that picture that pops up. But either way, this match just ended. LA Knight got the win. We're gonna let it marinate. See who the next round is. We'll be right back. Okay, so really quickly before we get to the round 2 picks, because they haven't happened yet, we got a little bit of a backstage segment with the Bloodline where Paul Heyman gave them a really big pep talk. Apparently they are eligible for tonight, so maybe you're not the only one that doesn't know what the hell's going on. I don't know either, so we're just gonna let this bad boy play out because I'm clueless. WWE could literally break their rules at any minute. Fort Worth on Monday, I did not know that. Gosh, we could have made that happen. Either way, okay. Nonetheless, rewind a little bit. But one thing that we've gotten over the last few weeks is those little subtle Paul Heyman hints where he will say, like, the Bloodline will handle the two of you, and he's looking at Jay, but they don't know that he's looking at them. And now the one where he pulls the tape out of nowhere and hands it to Solo. Like, that was actually kind of funny. Just, you had to be watching it, obviously. But that was a good moment. I will say I enjoyed that. And it does let us know that maybe tonight could be a pretty big night with the Bloodline development after all. We'll see. We'll let that kind of play out a little bit, I guess. But either way, we saw RVD come out. Nice. It's nice seeing RVD just randomly pop up on your TV screen. You don't get to see that very often. Then Michael Hayes announcing the SmackDown pick, RVD announcing the Raw pick. So we'll see. Well, who knows? RVD clearly he isn't making the pick himself, but if he were, given what we know he likes to do a lot on the side, maybe it could benefit us a little bit.
Okay.
And he might draft someone who's no longer on the roster for Monday Night Raw, or maybe just a reach, given that they haven't drafted a champion yet, anyways. So I feel like this round is going to be very telling to know Raw's draft strategy. Like, are they just absolutely butchering it and they're just focusing their champions on Monday, or are they going to pick somebody right here? Because Gunther's available, right? I don't know off the top of my head the eligible roster for tonight. I kind of want to be surprised with these picks, but either way, it's shaping up to be a pretty good draft, and Raw obviously SmackDown is obviously going to get the first pick here. So we will let these two quote unquote legends. RVD is definitely a legend. Not really sure about Michael Hayes. I know he's more involved backstage and all that good stuff, but I have a feeling that I don't know. I'm glad he's not making the pick for SmackDown. Let's just say that. But we'll let these picks be made. Or do you have any comments on the backstage little interaction with the Usos and Paul Heyman and all that stuff?
Well, not too much, but it kind of just sucks to see like the whole turn starting to happen, I guess you could say. And just looking at Solo's facial expression whenever he was rapping his tape, you kind of know already, especially like the whole situation whenever Solo was gonna give Jay the small spike before. It's been leading up to this, so I think it's about that time.
They have to make, because that's the thing, is they were talking about earlier in the show, right? Whenever they opened it, I heard Michael Cole referencing when Triple H was drafted to SmackDown. He was traded back over to Raw, and it was a big moment.
Oh.
They like to do big moments on the draft. They like to make them memorable. So, like, years down the line, like I just mentioned The Undertaker, like 20 years ago or whatever, and obviously just the Triple H interaction. They like to make these draft nights memorable. So it wouldn't surprise me if we saw something that was pretty big tonight. And I'm saying that right now, 7:37 p.m. We still got like an hour and a half damn near. So I'm just going to go ahead and call it right now. I think we're going to get something big here on the show. I'm going to call my shot. And it could be Solo Sikoa dismantling his older brothers.
The only thing, man, I want to see Roman come out and kind of address this whole situation rather than how, Jimmy was saying that they've been trying to call, text, DM, everything, haven't been getting a hold of him. Even Sammy kind of pointed it out in that little situation they had going on. So, yeah, just kind of curious about what Roman got going on.
For sure. I agree. Are we about to get RVD's theme song? I need to hear this. I knew it. Didn't want to miss that. We're going to let this second round get announced. We'll be right back to tell you the picks. Okay, so round 2 has come and gone. SmackDown gets the first pick, and they select the Street Profits.
Boo.
Thought it was a little bit of a reach, just being completely honest. But now that a little bit of time has passed, I'm like, okay, whatever. It's going to be a good run. Who knows? Maybe we'll get to see their eventual split. Maybe we'll get to cover it because it'll likely be on SmackDown if it happens within the next year or so. But Raw's first pick, the dagger, the first one that actually hurt. I didn't want to see Cody Rhodes get drafted to Raw, but I kind of knew it was coming. This one, I heard the rumors and I heard the speculation, but I didn't want to believe it either. But it happened. Gunther and his boys, Kaiser and Vinci, go along with him. No more Samantha Irvin ring announcements for Gunther. She's going to have to find some new ones, but either way, I thought that was just a little bit of a hard blow. And then SmackDown's next pick, Edge. Now, in a vacuum, great pick. You get a Hall of Famer. If this was 2009, I'd be like, hell yeah, we got Edge. But he's a part-timer now. I feel like he should have been he should have been drafted a little bit later, but you mentioned it. We're going to get some good stuff just with Edge, probably the programs he's going to be in. Who knows? He might go after Roman within the next year or so. I don't know. Okay. I think it would be interesting. And they'd put on a hell of a program. The promos would be phenomenal. They've already gone at it at WrestleMania once, so that would be pretty cool. But Raw's final pick was Matt Riddle. That was a surprise, I believe. According to Bad News Wade Barrett, people on Raw must be very high right now, or on a high, because they got Matt Riddle coming to the roster, and just the fact that RVD was standing right there was the perfect time to say that. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just saying, that's kind of a hilarious little comment right there. But other than that, yeah, keep doing your thing.
Poking fun, yeah. So I think that was a little bit of a strange round. I didn't really feel great about it. I don't feel great about the picks that Raw made, but I'm still going to be, or I don't feel great about the picks that SmackDown made, but I'm still going to be optimistic about it because, like I said, we're going to get some good stuff from Edge. Street Profits, phenomenal tag team, and I think we could end up seeing their split, but nonetheless, I mean, they're reunited with Bianca Belair, so they're going to come with her. Felt like that just made sense. But I am excited to see how the rest of the rounds go because now the Raw isn't on a trend. Like we talked about it. That was going to be an important round to give us an idea on how Raw is going to approach this. Mm-hmm. They are going for some champions. They are going for some big fish as well. So there's a chance that we're going to lose some more of our favorites. But what do you think about that round so far?
Well, like you're saying, the big hit, I mean, of course, Imperium, them going over to Raw, kind of takes the attraction, I guess you could say, from here to there. But definitely wasn't too high on the Street Profits. Felt like how you were saying about Edge, they could have been down there, a couple rounds later and everything. But I am okay with the Edge thing. Like I said, supposedly this is supposed to be the little end of his little run right here. So like you were saying, probably get some good stuff out of him. Maybe some good back and forth with Roman, like you were saying, promos and everything. But other than that, Matt Riddle kind of threw me off, his whole situation just coming back and everything like that. I do like the more seriousness that he's coming with, I guess you could say. But other than that, yeah, that one was kind of a mind blower.
Yeah, it really was. The Street Profits come out immediately after that, and they pretty much just, give us their little, hey, we're back on Friday nights, back on SmackDown. Nothing really changes, but the night that we work on, we're still all about the forwards. We want the smoke, and LWO and Ricochet and Braun Strowman come out. We get a triple threat tag team match. It's going on right now. We're currently on a commercial break, but we will be back and let you know how this match played out and who won. The Street Profits 1-0 since being officially drafted to SmackDown. They represent pretty well. They win the triple threat. Sorry. But after that, we get a little video package highlighting what happened on Monday Night Raw with Bad Bunny and Damian Priest. That match officially for Backlash. But before Backlash, we get live from Puerto Rico next Friday. We get Bad Bunny showing up on SmackDown. Nice. It's going to be pretty dope. But also, really quickly, we got JBL was introduced pretty much as the celebrity draft announce person for SmackDown. Teddy Long going to fill that same role. I'm not going to say it again for Monday Night Raw. I thought that was weird. Those are both SmackDown guys. They could have found a better Monday Night Raw guy. Had Teddy Long coming out and announce round 4 or something, so keep it more alumni because, Teddy Long really wasn't ever a fixture on Raw. I know he's probably a referee early on whenever he was the pretty much manager for Mark Henry and, damn it, I don't remember that other one's name. I don't remember. There was another one. Something Mac, if I'm not mistaken. I know probably DJ Kuzmo could definitely remind me, but yeah, there was one stint where Teddy Long represented Jazz. He represented, obviously, Mark Henry. But yeah, who's the other one? Mac was his last name. It had to have been Mac. But nonetheless, I'll figure it out. I'll Google it later or something. Those are the two people who are going to be announcing the picks. What'd you think about the triple threat, the Bad Bunny stuff, and obviously any thoughts, if any, on the celebrity announcers?
Well, I mean, of course, Street Profits, got to give them their little cheers, I guess you could say, their little double cup, whatever they got going on. But I kind of felt like Braun Strowman and Ricochet were the stronger team in that match there, So, I mean, of course, like I say, we got to give them their cheers and everything. But I don't know, man. I just feel like Street Profits aren't where they used to be. To me, I guess you could say, whenever I first started watching it, oh, yeah, there were some interesting guys to watch, just because the little combination that they had, the high flyer and then a good little powerhouse from Dawkins and everything. But now, I mean, it feels like it's just the same thing, You come out, they drop their little cups and everything like that. Montez Ford does most of the talking.
Yep.
His little high-pitched singing and stuff. It's kind of just rubbing me. I guess you could say, just over the time and everything like that. But, yeah. They're not too high on my list. But other than that, like I was saying, Braun Strowman and everything, felt like they were the better team in that match. LWO, they were looking pretty good too, they're a little high flying, but yeah, wasn't too satisfied, I guess you could say, with that. But other than that, man, a good little match.
Any prediction for who's going to be these round 3 picks, whether for Raw or SmackDown? Any, hunch?
Okay, I'm going to go with, I want LA Knight to be over here on the SmackDown side. Yeah, and then maybe like Karrion Kross over on the Raw side. Those are
just 2 names
where I'm kind of sitting right now. Yeah.
Let's see. Excuse me. Charlotte Flair's got to get drafted in this round. I mean, she has to. I know she's taking a break, taking time away, but still, it just doesn't make sense for her.
I really don't know why I just shied away from like all women.
No women were drafted in round 2, so we'll see.
Yeah, my bad.
But here we go. Here comes the money. Never mind, it's JBL.
Yeah. Oh.
I don't know why. It would have been Shane McMahon's song anyway. I just saw the green and the dollar signs. So either way, though, we'll let this round be announced, and we'll let you know who was drafted. Round 3 is come and gone. SmackDown gets the first pick. With that first pick, they select the almighty Bobby Lashley. Raw's first pick. Immediately after that, Drew McIntyre.
Good one.
Nothing like having Drew McIntyre get drafted immediately after he just drafted somebody else. Yeah, I wanted Drew on SmackDown, to say the least.
Oh, yeah.
SmackDown's final pick in round 3, the OC. A total of 4 superstars. You get Mia, Yim, or Michin. The Good Brothers, Gallows, and Anderson. And obviously AJ Styles. Now, if they would have just had AJ Styles by himself, I'd have been like, okay, cool. So the fact that we do get AJ Styles and a little bit of cherries on top, cool. I'm with it, I guess. If we can get AJ Styles versus Edge or something like that, like down the line, that would be pretty nice. I'd look forward to that. And then obviously The Miz gets drafted to Raw, and I thought that was a phenomenal pick. I'm glad that he's staying over there. So, what were your thoughts on round 3?
Well, not too high on this one as well, I guess you could say. But like I said, Drew, main attraction, I guess say, biggest pick out of here. Kind of sucks. Hopefully they can kind of work something out with him and the Sheamus thing in a way still. Definitely wouldn't want Sheamus to go over to Raw, though. But other than that, Bobby Lashley, I felt like he can kind of bring something over here. Felt like he's been just kind of pushed to the side on Raw, I guess you could say. But other than that, the OC, definitely a mind blower. And yeah, man, can't really say too much about it, I guess you could say, just because how they've came in. I mean, they're a good little tag team and everything like that. But other than that, as a group, I just kind of feel like they're more of like the backstage people, maybe like somebody that you'd walk up on having conversations type stuff like that. But other than that, man, yeah, not too much.
Yeah, it wasn't the most deep round, I guess. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I was impressed with the first 2 picks. Just getting Lashley. I love Bobby Lashley. So I remember watching him as a kid. The fact that he still looks the same and getting him back in WWE was such a badass thing, and definitely enjoyed that. But Zelina Vega and Sonya Deville are currently having a one-on-one match here on SmackDown. Sonya has Chelsea Green in her corner. We're getting just a little bit of back-and-forth action here. I highly doubt Zelina Vega is going to lose a little over a week before she has a SmackDown Women's Championship match at Backlash in Puerto Rico. What do you think about that? Just the announcement last week, Zelina Vega going to Adam Pearce and trying to get a Women's Championship and eventually getting it granted to her. So Rhea Ripley versus Zelina Vega at Backlash. What are your thoughts on all that?
Well, I mean, for it to actually come to, I guess you could say, putting Zelina Vega and Rhea Ripley together, I think is going to be a good match, just given the 2 fighting styles, I guess you could say, between the 2. And other than that, man, I kind of just feel like at this point, like, it's just the right fitting for Zelina, given the whole situation that going out to Puerto Rico, the LWO kind of coming about and everything. So putting them on the map, I guess you could say, in the WWE universe, you see like the shirts, big popular thing to a lot of people, and they're already kind of coming up with new designs for it, I guess you could say, like color-wise and stuff. So
yeah.
Dang.
While John was talking, Rhea Ripley comes up and puts an end to this match, takes out Sonya Deville, and I imagine she's about to have her way with Zelina Vega right now.
But yeah, man, I mean, for them to come together, I think it's going to be a good little match between them and everything. Yeah, but yeah, let's let this roll right here.
Yeah, right now, we'll just go ahead and talk about it. She is picking her up, Riptide, but it's reversed into a DDT by Zelina. She says, not so fast. She's going to get a little fast one on me.
The way that she can, like, maneuver her body whenever these, like, kind of big throws happen, you know,
Yes.
I think it's just going to be, like, how it is right here, exciting.
First
So I'm all
off,
for it.
I know she's a SmackDown Women's Champion. She can show up on this show whenever she wants. She's not eligible till Monday night. Dang it.
Dang.
She's interrupting, which what I thought was, Zelina Vega getting an opportunity, excuse me, to have a nice little match. Let me see real quickly what's going on here. Now we get Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn backstage. I don't know. I don't think they're going to say anything. Gosh, I don't know why I got something stuck in my throat. I think that they're just, just hyping it up a little bit. I don't believe that. No, they're cool. There we go. I was just making sure. So SmackDown's currently going to a commercial break right now. Whenever we get back, I assume we're going to get round 4 and those selections. We'll see who's picked and who announces those picks, and we'll let you know how that round went when we get back. Okay, so before we got to round 4, there was an entrance from the newly drafted OC. They come out, and they're met like almost immediately by the Viking Raiders. We get like a face-off. We get a brawl. AJ Styles just sits back for the most part until he hits a phenomenal forearm at the very end. But, yeah, they remind us that they're just getting started here, so you could expect them to have like a Judgment Day type role on SmackDown where they're just going to be causing havoc and, wrecking shop the entire time they're over here. And then we get the round 4 picks. Now, this one was a little bit off to me. SmackDown starts it off with Damage Control. I guess that makes sense. And then Raw immediately gets the newly returned King of Strong Style, Shinsuke Nakamura. And then SmackDown dips into the NXT bag. And they get the NXT Tag Team Champions, Alba Fire and Isla Dawn. Not familiar with them at all, just being completely honest. I'm not an NXT watcher. I'm sure Memphis Mark has been filling you guys in on this team, and you guys are more than aware of who they are. So I'm looking forward to getting to know them. They were approached by another team on NXT that they're going to have a match defending their titles. They're probably going to drop those belts. No need bringing them to SmackDown. And then Raw closes it out with drafting the NXT Women's Champion, Indy Hartwell.
Yep.
So what do you think about those picks?
Well, of course, Damage Control, let me just start there. I kind of thought this was a whole falling off type of situation, kind of where Bayley was going to start doing her own type of thing. And then, of course, Io Sky, Dakota Kai start doing their little tag team thing as well. So for them to come back as the Damage Control group, I guess you could say, is definitely, what would you say, like a bummer to me, I guess you could say, just because I was just hoping for a different direction for that whole group, I guess you could say. So,
I mean, they've been teasing like splitting up, not like hardcore,
I kind of
but
felt where, like why keep them together
if their days are numbered.
Yeah, or even if just like WWE isn't feeling it, or
For sure.
just as me as well, But other than that, man, yeah, that was definitely a little shocker right there. Shinsuke, him going over to Raw, gosh, definitely feel like we're losing a little bit of star power,
For sure. I'm glad you brought that up because he was attacked backstage by Karrion Kross. If you didn't get the chance to see Karrion Kross's promo, that's probably the one thing from SmackDown last week that happened that I would definitely recommend going to watch.
Okay.
It was just different. He, I mentioned it, he listed off and he had him in his hand every single card since he's been back that's had a wrestler on it, and he mentioned how he's changed them, and he referenced every single one, and it was just pretty cool. I was like, oh man, they've been doing some long-term storytelling with Karrion Kross, but nonetheless, just some pretty good stuff.
I was going to say, the whole, tarot card thing that he got going on, that definitely takes some, thought behind. So, yeah, he's definitely some long-term, deep storytelling. That's how I kind of feel behind his stories.
Well, up next, we get the main event, the WrestleMania main event rematch between Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens and the Usos.
Yeah.
How do you feel about this?
Well, just before I go there,
go ahead.
Just kind of want to touch base on the tag team champions from NXT.
NXT coming up? Okay, go ahead.
What was their names again?
Alba Fire and Isla
Dawn.
Isla Dawn.
Okay,
yeah, that S is silent.
Yeah,
they hail from Scotland.
Well, I mean, definitely kind of. Whenever we saw that little promo, that they had going on, between the other tag team, definitely felt like it was a little weak. I was going, gosh, okay, hopefully getting at least something. But, I mean, it feels like we're kind of getting a little bit of nothing in a way. But Indy coming over Raw, that's definitely like a good like eyebrow raiser to me. I've always kind of paid attention to her, I guess you could say, on her NXT side. Sorry. But other than that, yeah, cool with me.
Well, now we get the main event.
Yeah.
What do you think about this, the rematch?
Man, I don't know right now, just because the whole Solo, Paul Heyman type of stuff going on backstage, I mean, it's definitely just leading me to a direction that I don't want to go down right now. I kind of just want to see. Well, I don't want to see no freaking turn. I mean, I definitely see it already coming and stuff like that. But then again, maybe Solo kind of comes to his thoughts type stuff. There's his brothers. Maybe need to hop on that side of it. But, I mean, ultimately, man, we know what it's going to come to. And I definitely don't see the Usos getting those titles back. Let me say that.
Yep. I could definitely see that. Well, let's go ahead and let this main event happen because there's still a lot of time left. 26 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
Approximately left in SmackDown. So this is probably going to be a pretty long match. I mean, it was a WrestleMania main event match. Like these guys can go. And it's probably going to be the final match in their little run here. So take it for what it's worth. Enjoy it. Soak it up. And then we'll see what happens from here. But I'm excited nonetheless to see who wins these championships. I have a feeling I know who it is. But at the same time, maybe not. Maybe the Usos can do this.
That's what I'm saying, man. Maybe there's just like a little turning factor because maybe we are seeing like a big picture with the Paul Heyman stuff. But maybe Solo
Because Sammy and KO don't go to Saudi Arabia, right?
Right.
They don't go to the Night of Champions. They're not going to go to the Night of Champions pay-per-view. So if it's Night of Champions, how are they going to defend the belts? It almost makes more sense for them to drop them right now. If you want the titles to be featured on Night of Champions, you don't have to. I mean, they go WrestleManias without defending championships, So that's just as an outside factor that I'm like, and the fact that it's almost official, like, hey, if y'all lose tonight, you're getting turned on,
Yeah.
So that's two reasons right now that kind of lead me to think, I don't feel as confident. But it's SmackDown. I don't know. Like I said, they want memorable things to happen. So I feel like we're gonna get a memorable thing one way or the other, whether it is the Usos getting turned on, not that type of getting turned on, but getting the Samoan Spike from Solo Sikoa, or they regain their championships. So some big things are gonna happen nonetheless. We're going to let it play out. We'll let you know who wins and how SmackDown goes off the air. Well, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn retain their unified tag team championships. Why don't you just break it down? Let us know what happened in this match.
Well, I mean, this was a good back and forth. Sorry. I felt like the Usos had plenty of chances to where they, had us thinking, oh, okay, they might be able to win this. But other than that, I don't know. I felt like Sammy, he was like very minimal, I guess you could say. More of like Kevin Owens taking more of the beating. But yeah, man, I definitely thought the Usos are gonna kind of pull this off, But the whole situation, was kind of playing out, and then you get a little video package in the middle of that match. Paul Heyman solo backstage, Roman, I guess, gets a little call. And he's basically, okay, tonight's the night,
Yeah.
type stuff. He tells Solo in the back of his ear, today is the day, today is your day, I guess you could say. And yeah, I mean, we get that finishing up. Solo, he kind of starts walking out, and then out of nowhere, we get a Matt Riddle, kind of starts attacking Solo, ruins the plans type stuff. And Usos, man, definitely didn't hold up to the end, definitely let Roman down, I guess you could say. Them getting this loss here.
Yeah, definitely.
A nice little stunner from Kevin Owens turns into a luva kick on Jimmy. 1, 2, 3 by Sammy. And yeah, man, now we're looking down the road to what's going to happen with the Usos and Tribal Chief at this point, because, looking at them, you can tell that in their face that they didn't live up to what they're supposed to, to be getting this win and everything. And who knows how that's going to turn out. They definitely look like they were kind of spooked, definitely don't want to go talk to face-to-face at all, I guess you could say. But
Yeah.
other than that, man, I felt like the way that Solo was standing on the outside of the ring, that something just wasn't right. You know, I mean, I don't know if it was even that Solo was supposed to turn on the Usos, or maybe even Solo was just supposed to be out there to make sure that they won those belts. You know?
Yeah.
And Matt Riddle being that person to kind of interfere with that definitely threw it off to where, dang, now I didn't even do my job. Now Roman's going to be maybe mad at me type stuff, you know? So, yeah, just the way Solo was kind of at the end of that looking at the ring and stuff, it definitely felt like there was a little bit of disappointment in his face. So, I don't know what's supposed to happen here, but, yeah, I'm definitely excited to see what happens.
Yeah, the Usos are definitely getting drafted to Monday Night Raw.
Yeah, I don't think
Monday.
that they're going to be sticking sides and everything like it, especially with the whole situation of just
Excuse me.
the bloodline, I guess you could be saying involving those three only. Yeah, it definitely, something's up.
Well, great way for the show to end. We can
Oh,
finally
yeah.
close the book on that. We'll see what happens. I just don't see any way that they get welcomed back with open arms. This is just a little bit of a weird dynamic here. But that does do it for John and I here covering night 1 of this WWE draft. Some pretty exciting picks, some surprising picks, obviously. Wasn't completely chalk. I do believe Monday Night Raw is going to be pretty interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing the developments of that World Heavyweight Championship tournament picture. I want to know who's going to be in it. Obviously, Drew McIntyre and Cody Rhodes likely going to be on opposite sides of that bracket. Could end up meeting, depending on what happens. I already told you how I feel about Becky Lynch, her going over there, what that means for Seth Rollins. Likely going to be over on Monday Night Raw as well. I definitely hope he still can come over to SmackDown some way, somehow. But it's just you don't want to get your hopes up. But nonetheless, you got any shout outs, anything like that?
Well, I was gonna say I'm definitely leaning more on the Seth Rollins being brought over here. Maybe just split them up. You know, I mean, like I was saying, there's some weird stuff going on in that little dressing room or whatever they got going on the backstage side. But other than that, yeah, definitely looking forward to maybe getting Seth on this side just because the little story that we can build between him and Roman. You know, but other than that, man, yeah, definitely want to give a shout out to all the Patreons, Discord members, and everything like that. Give you a shout out, Football Function. Of course, you said you hit a good little high point, I guess you could say, in your downloads and everything like that. And it's pretty good right there, I guess you could say. Something to always kind of raise your eyebrow to type stuff, I guess, you know? So, yeah, definitely want to just close it out like that, I guess you could say.
I appreciate the kind words. Appreciate the plugs as always. I hope you guys all have a damn good rest of your weekend. Remember, tomorrow on SmackDown Lowdown, they're continuing the draft just because the superstars who were eligible to be drafted tonight in that pool that did not get drafted, they will be drafted tomorrow. So we will have a little bit more clarity as to what the rosters look like heading into Monday Night Raw, and we'll close it up. And then we'll get one more SmackDown to go home show after that Raw. Backlash on Saturday, and then immediately brand split or the new draft with these rosters are in effect.
And you did say streaming on Peacock, right?
Yeah, it's on Peacock.
Okay, making sure.
Yes, definitely want to check that out for sure. But with all that being said, guys, have a damn good weekend. Walk passionately in the direction of your dreams. Go Celtics.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.